Welcome back to Real Reddit Moments, where we're not afraid to tackle the most awkward situations in the sky, seat wars, and am I a bad person moments that have left the community divided. Today, we're diving into a seemingly small story that touches on a big issue, the line between civility and personal rights on an airplane. Do you have an obligation to give up your carefully chosen, paid-for seat for comfort just because a stranger is in trouble? And what happens when that refusal causes a mother to burst into tears in the middle of the passenger cabin? The story is titled AITA for refusing to switch seats on a plane with a crying mother. Was OP a selfish customer, a tough guy defending his rights, or someone who went too far by pushing another person to the point of crying in a public space? Take a look and let us know what you think. This story comes from Reddit user NoSeatSwitch. We'll call him OP, who was preparing for a long flight after a stressful work week. OP had just finished a tiring work week and just wanted a quiet, comfortable flight home. He booked his ticket very early and paid extra to get a window seat in the exit row. This seat has much more legroom than regular seats, making it ideal for a long flight. OP believed he had paid for that comfort, and he expected a smooth flight. He took his seat, put his luggage away, put on his headphones, and fell asleep as the plane took off. However, as soon as he settled down, a woman appeared. We will call her Crying Mother. She was with two small children, one about 2 to 3 years old and one newborn. She seemed very stressed and tired. The crying mother walked to OP's seat, looking worried. She explained that she and her two children had been assigned seats in 2 different rows. One child was in the front row and the other was in the back row. She said to OP pleadingly, "Sir, can you change seats with me? My children and I are separated. I need to sit next to them so I can take care of them. My seat is in the middle seat in row 30. OP looked at the middle seat in row 30 that the crying mother requested. It was a terrible seat with no legroom and right in the middle of the cabin. Meanwhile, he was sitting in a spacious window seat in the emergency exit row. OP felt awkward. He understood the mother's situation, but he had paid for this comfort and did not want to give it up. OP politely declined. He said that he had paid for the seat and really needed the space after a long trip. He also suggested that she talk to the flight attendant to find a solution. As soon as OP refused, the unexpected happened. The crying mother suddenly burst into tears right in the aisle. She started complaining loudly that she was very tired, could not look after 2 small children in 2 different places, and that she did not understand why OP was so cruel in refusing to help. The mother's crying and the noise of the 2 children immediately attracted the attention of the entire cabin. The flight attendant also rushed over to find out what was going on. Several other passengers started looking at OP with unpleasant eyes. Some even criticized, saying that OP was selfish, lacking compassion, and unsympathetic. The pressure from the people around became very great. The flight attendant also suggested that OP should change seats to resolve the issue. However, OP remained adamant. He reiterated that he had paid for this seat, and it was not his responsibility to resolve the airline seat assignment issue. He felt he was being forced to sacrifice the comfort he had paid for. In the end, the flight attendant had to find another solution to seat the crying mother and her children, perhaps asking another passenger to change seats or find an empty seat. OP kept his seat. After the plane took off, OP couldn't stop thinking about the situation. He felt he was right to stand up for himself, but making a mother cry and having the whole cabin stare at him made him wonder, AITA, am I a bad person for refusing to switch seats with a crying mother, even though I paid for that seat? OP's post exploded on Reddit, garnering tens of thousands of comments and hundreds of thousands of upvotes. The thread touched a sensitive nerve for many people about personal rights, social decency, parental responsibility, and airline policies. The vast majority of the Reddit community sided with OP, insisting that he was not a bad person at all. They emphasized that OP paid for his seat and had no obligation to compromise. Featured comment: "You paid for that seat, especially an emergency exit seat. That's your prerogative. The responsibility to seat your family is either up to the airline or the mother herself when she booked the ticket. It's not your fault she's crying. It's cheap, emotional manipulation." This comment has received tens of thousands of upvotes and multiple Reddit awards. Airlines have clear rules about emergency exit seats. Children are not allowed there for safety reasons. Her insistence on your seat is unreasonable. You did the right thing by refusing. This isn't about kindness. This is about coercion and irresponsibility. You don't have to solve someone else's problem that you didn't create. That mother should be held accountable for her own booking. Oh, is that all you can do is cry? If I want first class, can I just cry and change seats? No way. If everyone is comfortable changing seats, what's the point of paying extra for seat selection? You paid for the comfort. Some comments tried to take a more balanced view, suggesting that both sides were partly at fault, or that this was a nobody is the bad guy situation, but just a big misunderstanding due to pressure. Gish OPNTA for protecting his rights, but his actions may have lacked empathy in a sensitive situation. The mother is AITA for crying and creating pressure, but she was also under stress. The airline is the biggest AITA for giving such a bad seat. NAH. OP has the right to protect her seat. The mother has a legitimate reason to be worried about her child. This was just an unfortunate situation. No one was intentionally doing bad things. A significant portion of the Reddit community thinks OP is the bad guy for acting without compassion, especially when seeing a mother struggling and crying. YTA. Even though you paid, it was a small act of kindness. You made a desperate mother cry in the middle of a crowd. You should have been more sympathetic, especially since she has a small child. A little kindness can go a long way. Taye. We live in a society that needs empathy. You had a great chair while she was struggling. Your actions were selfish and heartless. You are a stingy and cold person. She cried because you refused a small request. YTA. Apart from the strong comments from all sides, one comment really struck a chord and was widely agreed upon because it captured the essence of the situation and brought out a profound lesson. NTA. Granted, she's crying because she's frustrated, but that's not your problem. You paid for a specific product/service and you're entitled to it. Airlines not seating families properly is the airline's problem. A mother not being proactive about seating her child when booking a ticket is the mother's problem. You're not obligated to solve someone else's problem. Never feel guilty for asserting your rights. This comment received thousands of upvotes and awards, representing the strong views of the NTA side and sharp arguments. The Reddit community not only made a judgment, but also actively interacted and expanded this topic into many more in-depth discussions, providing advice and sharing personal experiences. Airline responsibility, a heated debate about whether airlines should have clearer policies on seat allocation for families with young children to avoid these awkward situations. Parents' responsibility when traveling. Many shared that parents should proactively book tickets early, pay for seat selection to ensure their children are seated with them, instead of relying on the kindness of strangers. Crocodile tears and emotional manipulation. Many analyzed the mother's crying behavior as a psychological manipulation tactic to pressure customers. They warned against falling into this trap. Paying passenger rights. Many people emphasize that paying for a service means you have a right to it and that you shouldn't feel guilty about standing up for your rights. Personal experience. Countless stories of being asked to change seats on planes range from good to bad, to being rudely forced to change. Overall, this story has become a great lesson about the boundaries of civility and personal rights in public spaces. After receiving countless comments from the Reddit community, ranging from support to harsh criticism, the OP had time to seriously think about his actions and words. He had some important updates about what happened afterward and how he feels now. Summary of updates. Still doesn't regret the decision. OP asserts that after reading the comments and thinking it over, he still believes that the decision not to change seats was the right one. He paid for that comfort and had no obligation to give it up. Recognizing manipulation, OP admits that seeing the mother cry made him feel awkward and a little sorry at first, but then he realized it was a form of emotional manipulation. He felt stronger for standing up to social pressure. No negative consequences from the airline. After the incident, no flight attendants harassed him or took any negative action from the airline. This further reinforced his belief that he had done nothing wrong. Viewpoints on parents traveling. OP understands that traveling with young children can be difficult, but he believes that it is his responsibility. The primary responsibility remains with the parents to ensure everything is in order before boarding the plane. The OP now feels more relieved and confident in his decision. He has received strong validation from the Reddit community and has a better understanding of his rights as a passenger. This story has taught him an important lesson about standing up for his own rights and not being pressured by emotional manipulation. He will still consider helping others when possible, but will never sacrifice his own rights again. OP's story is a classic example of the challenges of communication and personal boundaries in public spaces. It highlights core issues of expectations, responsibilities, and personal emotions in the mobility service environment. Conflicting emotions in the story OPs. Initially, a desire for peace and comfort. Then comes discomfort, pressure, and anger when her rights are threatened. Finally, a determination and justification for her decision. The crying mothers, possibly stress, fatigue, and anxiety when traveling with young children. When she is rejected, she experiences despair, self-pity, and disappointment, leading to tears. The Reddit communities from outrage towards the mother or OP, to empathy towards OP or mother, to a rational analysis of rights and responsibilities. The Reddit community, in this case, acted as a social court and an open forum for debate. They helped OP get validation for her decision from an objective perspective, and most importantly, it helped OP not feel guilty. Reddit also provided multiple perspectives, forcing OP to think more carefully about the impact of her actions. This proves that Reddit can be a place to seek support and clarity in difficult situations. Character analysis. OP customer represents a passenger who has paid for comfort and is determined to defend that right. He shows toughness in standing up for himself against social pressure. The crying mother. Other passenger, a controversial character. She may be a mother in real trouble, but her behavior is also analyzed as irresponsible in not assigning seats in advance and trying to manipulate the emotions of others. Airline expands on the airline's responsibility to seat families appropriately and have clear policies in place to handle such situations. Lessons learned. Personal rights matter. When you've paid or have a legal right, you have the right to protect it. You have no obligation to sacrifice comfort, your own inconvenience, especially when it is not your fault. Parental responsibility when traveling. Parents should be proactive and responsible in arranging seats for their children when traveling, especially on airplanes. Refuse to give in to emotional pressure. Don't let other people's emotions, such as crying, manipulate your decisions when you feel you are being treated unfairly or pressured. Airlines should be held accountable. Airlines should have clearer and more flexible policies to support families traveling, avoiding passengers having to deal with seat assignments on their own. Politeness has boundaries. Kindness and help are appreciated, but it should not be taken advantage of or made into an obligation when you are unwilling or unable to. The damsel in distress stereotype. The story also shows a social stereotype of automatically sympathizing with damsels in distress, sometimes ignoring their responsibilities or the rights of others. OP's story is a clear example of how difficult choices and unexpected situations are presented to us in our daily lives. It's an important reminder to stand up for ourselves, but it also encourages us to think about the pressures others may be facing. The debate over airline seating rights will never end, but the lesson from this story is clear. Always ask for what you paid for and deserve, and don't let other people's emotions dictate your decisions. What do you think of this story? How would you handle it if you were in OP's shoes? Have you ever been asked to change seats on a plane, and what happened? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Thanks for following Real Reddit Moments. See you next time. Welcome to Real Reddit Moments, where we delve into the raw, unfiltered confessions of Reddit users, explore the complex dynamics of human relationships, and ask the timeless question, am I the asshole? Today, we're diving deep into a family drama that cuts to the core of trust, betrayal, and a son's breaking point. Get ready for AITA, for telling my mum lying is the only thing she is good at. This isn't just about a heated argument. It's about years of built-up frustration and a mother's patterns of deceit. Was OP justified in his harsh words, or did he go too far? Our story comes from Reddit user YouTruthHurts123. Well, call him OP. OP is a 25-year-old male living independently and working a stable job. His relationship with his mother, however, has always been complicated. It's a relationship marked by a long history of his mother's dishonesty, a pattern that has slowly eroded any trust OP once had in her. He's always tried to maintain a connection, hoping things might change, but time and again he's been let down. OP starts by painting a picture of his childhood. His mother, let's call her Maria, had a habit of bending the truth, or outright lying, about anything and everything. It wasn't just about big, life-altering deceptions. It was the constant stream of small, seemingly insignificant lies that built up over years. She'd lie about why she missed a school event, about where money went, about promises she made, even about trivial things like what she had for dinner. This constant deceit created a deep-seated feeling of distrust in OP, making it hard for him to ever truly rely on her words. He recalls countless instances where her lies caused him embarrassment, pain, or simply confusion. He learned early on to fact-check anything she said, to trust his gut over her promises. This constant vigilance took a toll on their bond. He felt like he was always waiting for the next shoe to drop, the next lie to be uncovered. Despite this, he always held a sliver of hope that she would change, that one day he could truly believe her. The situation that finally pushed OP to his breaking point involved a crucial job interview. OP had been working hard to secure a promotion, and this interview was his big chance. He asked his mother, Maria, for a simple favor: to pick up an important document from his old apartment building, a document absolutely critical for his interview later that day. He specifically emphasized the urgency and importance of it. Maria, as usual, readily agreed, promising she'd take care of it first thing in the morning. OP, against his better judgment, felt a flicker of hope. Maybe this time she'd follow through. He went into his interview feeling confident, only to realize mid-interview that he didn't have the crucial document. He called Maria, heart-pounding, hoping for a quick solution. Her response was infuriating. She nonchalantly admitted she forgot. Not just forgot, but had spent the entire morning running other errands, completely disregarding his urgent request. Her tone was dismissive, almost as if his important career opportunity was an inconvenience to her busy schedule. OP felt a wave of crushing disappointment and frustration wash over him. His meticulous planning, his hopes for this promotion, were all jeopardized by her casual disregard and blatant lie of omission. The interview, as expected, didn't go well. OP was shaken and deeply hurt. He drove straight to his mother's house, not to confront her aggressively, but to express his profound disappointment. He wanted her to understand the gravity of her actions, the real-world consequences of her constant dishonesty. When he arrived, Maria was, predictably, defensive. She tried to downplay her actions, making excuses and even attempting to shift the blame onto OP for not reminding her enough. It was the same old song and dance, the same manipulative patterns he'd seen his entire life. The sight of her casual dismissal, her utter lack of genuine remorse, triggered something deep within him. All the years of frustration, the countless small betrayals, the shattered trust, erupted. He looked at her, his voice trembling not with anger, but with a profound sense of sadness and resignation, and uttered the words that would later haunt him, but at that moment felt like the purest truth. "Mum, lying is the only thing you are good at." The words hung in the air. Maria was stunned, her usual defensive demeanor replaced by a rare silence. OP immediately felt a pang of regret for the harshness, but also a strange sense of catharsis. He knew it was brutal, but for once, he felt like she truly heard the depth of his pain, even if just for a moment. He left shortly after, the silence echoing in his ears. Back home, wrestling with the guilt of his words and the ongoing pain of his. As expected, OP's post ignited a fiery debate within the Reddit community. Thousands of comments poured in, reflecting a wide range of emotions and perspectives. Let's dive into what the internet had to say. The overwhelming majority of Redditors sided with OP, validating his frustration and the pain caused by his mother's chronic dishonesty. Here are some of the most upvoted comments. NTA. You reached your breaking point. Years of chronic lying and manipulation wear a person down. It's not about the words themselves, but the lifetime of pain behind them. She heard a truth she desperately needed to hear. This comment often received platinum awards. NTA. She wasn't just forgetting. She was disrespecting your life and your future. Sometimes a harsh truth is the only way to get through to someone who is so deeply in denial about their harmful behavior. Karen, OP's mum, not the traditional Karen, has created this reality for herself. Your words were a reflection of her consistent actions. You didn't just say something mean. You articulated a painful truth that she forced you to learn. Set boundaries. OP. The fact that you even trusted her with something this important after a lifetime of lies shows how much you wanted to believe in her. It's devastating when you realize some people simply won't change. The fact that you immediately felt regret speaks volumes about your character, not hers. She probably deserved to hear it, even if it hurts. Nuanced perspectives, gentle critique. NaH. No assholes here. ESH. Everyone sucks here, rarely. While most were firmly NTA, a few comments offered a slightly more nuanced view, acknowledging the pain while questioning the delivery. NaH. I understand your frustration entirely, OP. That kind of behavior is incredibly damaging. The words were harsh, yes, but they came from a place of deep, chronic pain. It's less about you being an asshole and more about a cry of despair. ESH. But mostly your mum. While the words were cutting, they clearly came from a place of immense hurt. Your mum sucks for her consistent lying, but perhaps there could have been a more constructive way to express the devastation, though I acknowledge that's hard in the moment. This type of comment often faced counter-arguments from the NTA camp. Top comment: emotional impact and reflection. One particular top comment resonated deeply, summarizing the emotional weight of OP's situation. NTA. Imagine a child having to learn not to trust their own mother because her default setting is deceit. That's a profound betrayal. Your words weren't a spontaneous outburst of cruelty. They were the accumulated weight of years of disappointment. It's heartbreakingly true, and she made you say it. This comment received significant praise for its empathy. The discussion didn't stop at simple judgments. Redditors engaged in deeper conversations. The nature of chronic lying. Many users shared their own experiences with parents or loved ones who were compulsive liars, discussing the psychological toll it takes on relationships and the difficulty of setting boundaries. Healing from parental betrayal. Advice poured in regarding therapy, setting firm boundaries, and even considering low or no contact for one's own mental well-being. When truth hurts, the comments debated the thin line between delivering a painful truth and causing unnecessary cruelty, with the general consensus being that in this case, the truth was necessary, however brutal. The role of apology. Users discussed whether Mariah's past behavior suggested she was capable of genuine remorse or change. Overall, the Reddit community validated OP's feelings and actions, seeing his outburst as a desperate cry for acknowledgement and a consequence of years of emotional manipulation. Healing from parental betrayal. Advice poured in regarding therapy, setting firm boundaries, and even considering low or no contact for one's own mental well-being. When truth hurts. The comments debated the thin line between delivering a painful truth and causing unnecessary cruelty, with the general consensus being that in this case, the truth was necessary, however brutal. The role of apology. Users discussed whether Mariah's past behavior suggested she was capable of genuine remorse or change. Overall, the Reddit community validated OP's feelings and actions, seeing his outburst as a desperate cry for acknowledgement and a consequence of years of emotional manipulation. After receiving an overwhelming response from the Reddit community, OP felt a strange mix of validation and continued internal conflict. He read through the comments, finding solace in the understanding and shared experiences of others. He knew his words were harsh, but the sheer volume of support made him feel less alone, less like the asshole. Summary of updates. Update 1, a few days after the post, OP reached out to his sister, who had also suffered from Mariah's patterns of deceit. His sister, while initially shocked by OP's bluntness, admitted she understood where it came from. This conversation provided OP with a much-needed sense of solidarity and confirmed that his feelings were valid. Update 2, 1 week later. Maria eventually contacted OP. She didn't apologize directly for the specific incident, but her tone was unusually subdued. She acknowledged that his words had hurt her deeply and vaguely hinted that she knew she needed to change. While OP was skeptical given her history, this was a rare moment of introspection from her, albeit a small one. Update 3, a few weeks later, final outcome. OP didn't get the promotion he interviewed for, which was a bitter pill to swallow. However, he used this experience as a catalyst for personal growth. He started therapy, focusing on processing his childhood trauma related to his mother's deceit. He also established clearer boundaries with Maria, communicating that he would no longer tolerate her lies and that trust would need to be rebuilt slowly, if at all. Their relationship is still strained, but OP feels a sense of empowerment. He's taking control of his own emotional well-being, no longer waiting for her to change. Narrator's current state of mind. OP is still on a journey of healing. He doesn't regret speaking his truth, even if the delivery was raw. He feels a sense of liberation from years of silent resentment. While the promotion was lost, he gained something far more valuable, a clearer understanding of his own boundaries and the courage to enforce them. He's learning to prioritize his peace over a dysfunctional family dynamic. OP's story is a powerful case study in the long-term effects of chronic dishonesty within family relationships. It's a raw look at how emotional wounds, left unaddressed, can fester and lead to explosive moments of truth. Let's break down the deeper layers. Conflicting emotions in the story. The narrative is rich with conflicting emotions. OP experiences deep frustration and disappointment stemming from a lifetime of broken trust. This morphs into anger and ultimately a profound sense of sadness and resignation when he utters those harsh words. Post-confrontation, he grapples with guilt over his delivery, but also catharsis and eventual relief as he begins to set boundaries. Maria's emotions are likely a mix of defensiveness, denial, and perhaps a fleeting moment of shock or hurt when confronted with the unvarnished truth. The role of the Reddit community. The Reddit community served as an invaluable mirror and support system for OP. By validating his experience and offering overwhelming support, they helped him understand that his feelings were normal and justified. They provided a safe space for him to process his trauma and offered practical advice, highlighting the power of collective empathy and wisdom in navigating complex personal dilemmas. Character analysis. OP, Use Truth Hurts 123, represents the child of a consistently dishonest parent. He embodies the internal struggle between loyalty/hope and the need for self-preservation. His breaking point, though harsh, is a testament to the cumulative toll of emotional abuse and his eventual courage to prioritize his well-being. Maria, the mother, a complex character who, through her consistent lying, inadvertently pushed her son to his emotional limit. Her behavior raises questions about compulsive dishonesty, lack of empathy, and the ripple effects of unaddressed personal issues on family relationships. Her initial defensiveness and later subdued reaction hint at deep-seated issues that OP cannot and should not be expected to fix. Mark, the boss, and Sister. These characters represent the external realities and potential support systems. Mark's initial call shows the impact of Mariah's actions on OP's professional life, while the sister provides a crucial internal validation for OP's experience. Key takeaways. This story offers several vital lessons for anyone grappling with difficult family dynamics, especially those involving chronic dishonesty, the cumulative damage of small lies. It's not just about monumental betrayals. A consistent pattern of minor lies can erode trust and cause profound emotional damage over time. Validation is crucial. When dealing with gaslighting or consistent dishonesty, external validation from friends, family, or communities like Reddit can be incredibly important for mental well-being. Boundaries are essential. Protecting one's own mental and emotional health often requires setting firm boundaries, even with family members. This might involve limiting contact or drastically changing the nature of the relationship. Truth, however painful, can be liberating. While harsh words are generally discouraged, sometimes speaking an undeniable truth, born from deep pain, can be a necessary step for self-preservation and healing. It can be a moment of catharsis for the wronged party, even if it causes discomfort. Focus on your own healing. You cannot change another person, especially if they are unwilling to acknowledge their issues. The most productive path is to focus on your own healing and well-being, often through therapy or self-reflection. OP's journey is a powerful reminder that sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is to confront the truth, however painful it may be. It's about recognizing when a relationship, even with a parent, is causing more harm than good, and finding the courage to protect your peace. We hope this story resonates with those of you navigating similar challenges, reminding you that your feelings are valid and your right to emotional well-being is paramount. What do you think of OP's words? Have you ever had to deliver a harsh truth to someone you care about? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you for joining us on Real Reddit Moments. We'll see you in the next story.